Today, we've got a really powerful story for you. It's about a total transformation, how a man went from being a beggar to a businessman, and it all started with just one single change in how he saw the world.
So let me ask you something. What's the real difference between asking for a handout and actually making a sale? It seems simple, right? But this story, well, it gives us a pretty amazing answer. And it's all about one man's discovery that completely turned his life around.
Okay, so picture this. A super busy railway station. That's where our story starts. And in the middle of all that chaos is a beggar. Day in and day out, his life is just going from person to person, trying to get by on whatever they'd give him. His whole identity, everything he thought he was tied up in that one act, asking.
And this wasn't just what he did, it's what he believed. You know, that voice in your head, his was constantly saying, I am a beggar. My job in life is to ask, not to give. He truly thought he had absolutely nothing of value to offer anyone. And that very mindset, it was like a prison, it kept him totally trapped.
But then, one day, something happens that shakes the bars of that prison. He goes up to this sharp-looking guy in a suit, probably thinking this would be a generous handout. But instead of a coin, he gets something totally unexpected. A piece of advice that would literally change everything.
The businessman was pretty blunt about it. He wasn't trying to be cruel, he was teaching him a really powerful principle. He just said, look, I'm a businessman and I believe in transactions. I can only give you something if you give me something in return. For him, it was a rule, something for something, always.
And this really gets to the heart of the principle of give and take, or len-den, as it's known in Hindi. It's this universal law that value has to be exchanged, not just taken. The businessman's point was simple, right? If you want to receive something, you gotta offer something first. And for our beggar, this idea, man, it just stuck with him. He couldn't shake it.
So he starts thinking, wait a minute, maybe that's why I'm not getting much, because I never give anything back. And he probably wrestled with this for a while, like what on earth could I possibly offer? And then he sees them, these beautiful flowers growing right there near the station. And boom, an idea starts to take root. So he decides, okay, I'm doing this. No more just taking. He picks some of those flowers and he starts a whole new system. Anyone who gives him a coin, he gives them a flower in return. And you know what? Something pretty incredible started to happen. People started giving him more money than ever before, and they were happy about it.
So some time passes, and who does he see on the train again? The very same businessman. He runs over to him, but this time is different. There's no desperation, no asking. He's proud. He holds up a flower and says, today I have something to give you for your money.
The businessman just smiles, takes the flower, gives him some money, but then, as he's leaving, he says something that just hits the man like a bolt of lightning. He says, wonderful. Today, you too have become a businessman just like me. Wow, those words, they just completely echoed in his head. It was like a switch flipped inside his brain. That's the moment, the exact moment everything changed for him. He suddenly realized, wait, people aren't giving me money out of pity. They're paying me for my flowers. He wasn't a beggar anymore. He was a merchant, a business owner. He had something of value, and people were happy to buy it. He's so overwhelmed by this idea that he gets off the train, looks up at the sky, and just shouts it out. I am not a beggar. I am a businessman. And right there, with that one shout, the old version of him was just gone. He was never, ever seen at that station again.
All right, let's jump ahead about 6 months. We're on that same train. Two guys in really nice suits run into each other. One of them looks at the other and clearly recognizes him, but the second guy is drawing a total blank.
So the first guy smiles and says, hey, we've actually met twice before. I'm the beggar you gave that advice to. And he goes on to explain the whole thing, how he took that idea, started selling flowers, saved up the money, bought more flowers, and just kept growing. And now he's a major flower wholesaler, on his way to close a big deal.
I mean, what a story, right? But it's so much more than just a nice tale. It's a fantastic lesson in how success and self-worth really work. So let's break it down. What are the big takeaways from this incredible journey?
Okay, first and foremost, how you see yourself literally creates your reality. The second he stopped thinking of himself as a beggar, the world stopped treating him like one. Second, real wealth comes from creating value for other people, not from just taking.
I mean, it was just a flower, but that simple act of giving was the key that unlocked his future. Which leads to the next point. This whole give and take thing, it's a fundamental rule for success. And maybe the most important lesson of all is this: you always have something valuable to offer, even when you're convinced you have nothing.
So what's the bottom line here? It's that your circumstances don't define who you are. Your thinking does. Success isn't something someone just hands you. It's something you find inside yourself when you realize the value you already have. So I guess that leaves one final question for you. What's your flower? What do you have to offer?